Cruising with Kayfabe. I'm Mongo.
And I'm Emily.
And today we're actually joined by two very special guests who I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So guest number one, would you introduce yourself? Dez?
Oh, is that me? All right, cool. I'll go
All
for
right.
it. What's up, everybody? My name is Dez. I go by Dez Show, the Eskimofo in the ring. I perform stand-up comedy. I've been on all three Chris Jericho, Rockin' Wrestling Ragers at Sea. And let me tell you something. It's amazing. I'm booked for the fourth year. We're getting it going. A lot of fun stuff.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, guest number three.
What's up, guys? My name is Jamal Gary. So soon to be four-time cruiser. Been on the first three, going on number four. And I would say this to anybody. If you are a wrestling fan, you are doing yourself a disservice for not even checking this out. Like, it's literally the ultimate vacation for any wrestling fan. So great to be on, guys. Here to chat with some fellow Ragers, man. Let's get this going.
Absolutely. I figured, with just over 50 days to go, getting excited about this trip. I know I've personally seen a lot of comments back and forth of like, oh, what to expect? What's it like? What should I do? What should I bring? So I figured bring on some of the two OG four-time, Ragers. We're only three-time Ragers, so we figured get the veteran advice here. But we figured we earned our stripes a little bit, but let's learn from the originals and have some fun and discuss the cruises.
That's awesome, man.
So thank you both for coming on. I appreciate it. Like I said, we got Dez and Jamal. So I guess my first thought would be, Jamal, earlier you were kind of talking about what made you go on the first cruise. So we'll start with you. What made you go on the first?
So before that, go back to, it was 1 year, some of my family members, they decided to change things up. So they decided to go on a cruise for Christmas one time. And, they asked me like, oh, you want to join? And I was like, not really my thing. I kind of had to work around that same time as well. And I'll be honest, as a kid, I saw the Titanic movie. It traumatized me. I can't swim.
Fair.
Man, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. But they came back and it was like, oh, man, it was a great time. There was stuff to do. You kind of forgot you were on the boat. You should at least, check it out. And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. Kind of a think about thing. And, of course, being a wrestling fan and, Jerichoholic, obviously, he put that post out to the world, wrestling, rock and roll, comedy, on the boat. And I literally looked at that video and I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to do it, that's the one. And knowing Chris, as we know, he's a trendsetter. He does everything, thinks out of the box. I'm like, there's no way in hell I can't not miss the first one. So I was like, you know what? Sign me up. And honestly, it just took off from there.
Awesome. What about you, Dez? What made you say, you know what? This is my cruise. I got to do this.
So actually, it was a former buddy of mine there. Somebody I used to run with. Went with him on the first boat. We were roommates. And, he was the one, right, that was like, yo, there's this thing, the Chris Jericho Cruise. And I said, that's awesome. But, like, really, I've never been on a cruise. And just like Jamal said, I'm scared of open water. I don't do open water. Up here in the Arctic, they go whaling a lot. And one of my stand-up jokes is that, like, I literally got invited to go whaling. And I said, no, man, like, the only whale I know is from Pinocchio. And that thing eats boats like candy.
Right.
I'm not getting on a boat because he showed me his boat. And it's as long as my room is. And I'm like, I'm not jumping in that with you guys. So for me to hear about this cruise, I was kind of like, okay, cool. And then my buddy said he needed a roommate. And I said, okay, well, you know what? I can make the money work. I can make this happen. So we jumped on the first boat. And that's actually in Miami was where I met my co-host of the TDS show, Teryn and Dez Show, Teryn. So I actually met her the night before or a couple nights before the boat, which is where we met up with some other cruisers. And we all just kind of became the initial stages of what would become the Drunk Eyed Canadians.
That's right. I remember going on the second cruise, seeing everyone talk about the DEC and have the DEC shirts and talking about traveling all over. And I thought it was awesome. I was like, oh, this is great. These guys are the life of the party. I'm going to fit right in. And then, of course, seeing Jamal dressed up in his awesome Orange Cassidy cosplay. My kiddo absolutely, fell in love with him and they, formed a relationship. So I know we're kind of freezing here, but thankfully I'm recording local audio, so it's not going to be too choppy. But that's probably because Dez, like you said, he's from the Arctic. I was always blown away that because Jericho mentioned on the last cruise that you traveled the furthest, didn't you?
So that's it. Is there was I traveled on the main continent. You couldn't get any farther from the cruise than I am. Literally, that's how I was introduced to Jericho by Spivak and Teryn. Was that this guy came all the way from the top of the continent, and Jericho says, "Yeah, prove it." So I showed him my driver's license, and he's like, "Oh, Inuvik. Oh shit, cool. Thanks for coming." And I actually got to spend 3 minutes with him walking to the elevator from Magnum's all the way up to his elevator. And that was sort of where me and Teryn got cemented as the dynamic duo. was because he already knew Teryn, and he said, hey, come on up and party with us. And she's like, well, what about Dez? And he was just kind of like, well, come on, Teryn. And she's like, and Dez. And then and that literally the elevator doors closed. And I said, holy smokes, you just took that for me. And now we're still partying together because you didn't want to ditch me. And that's why we're like super best friends, because she is so caring and she's always got that heart.
I love that.
That's awesome. I didn't know that story. That's cool. Thanks for sharing.
You got further than we did in the elevator. Do you know our story?
No.
Oh, God.
So Cam was dressed up as Darby. And who was that comedian?
Bruce Jingles.
So he
trashed.
He was so
Wicked
trashed that whole time. He was so rude and trashed.
He took us in the elevator and he's like, dude, let's go party. He was more willing to party with Cam.
And he just, don't say it that way. But yeah, he was like, come on, let's go hang out. So we're up on the 14th floor and we walk out and the security guard's like, yeah, you guys can't be up here. We're like, no, we know. Bruce was like just very hesitant.
We couldn't do anything. He's just putting us up there.
Like he's pulling us with him. And the security guard's going, sorry. Oh, hey, I like your costume, man. Here, have a coloring book. And the security guard gave Cam a freaking coloring book.
Nice.
So then we just go downstairs. We're like, well, that just happened. That was kind of awkward.
And like we saw Jericho in his 80s gear, like walking
the Van Halen gear.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man.
Like we were not supposed to be here. This is really cool. So I can't imagine like to be there.
We actually got brought up to the Haven by one of Jericho's cousins on the second boat. And it was just in the sort of downtime. There was a few of us up there, maybe a half dozen of us up there. We got to check out like the sort of, there's like a courtyard pool area where they had like a table full of booze and a table full of hot food that was constantly just refreshed. So we got to actually see a bit of the area there. We got to like peep out in some places. And I was like, yo, this is like luxury. So I remember we took a picture, a group photo right in front of the 14. And we're like, yo. And then it was wild because I don't want to like railroad everything here. But yeah, so really quick, on the last cruise, on the last night of the cruise, we ended up on 14. We ended up in there and I'm literally arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder with you name a wrestler on that boat. And if they were awake at that time at 3 a.m, they were upstairs. Like I'm talking to SCU about like, you know, what it's like to be an Uvialuit, be Eskimo, you know what I mean? And then Orange Cassidy walks up and he's like, hey, you having a good time? And I'm like, you're what? Like, yeah, great time. And he's like, that's cool, man. You look like you're having a ball. And I'm like, dude, I'm having the craziest time. Like, this is the wildest. Like, Ricky Starks is talking to us. We're talking to Will Hobbs, laughing around. At one point, there's like a big, like, sort of boys, like a workers meeting. And Chris is sort of having you know, like a little bit of a court with them. And they're talking. And I just kind of thought, I'm like, do I just like walk up and just, come on, what's up, boys? Like, what are we talking about? But the craziest thing, so this was on the costume day, right? This was the last day of the costume day. Teryn and Meg were dressed up as the Heart Foundation, and I was Shawn Michaels, and I had a little dangly earring, right? And I was really trying to go because I had my chalk lines on, my red Shawn Michaels pants. And throughout the day, a lot of people got to duck out and change back, right? So, you know, before they got to really party at the casinos, everybody was already back in their street gear, and everybody was comfortable. Except for old Desi Bear. Desi Bear didn't realize he was still wearing the Shawn Michaels pants until I was right into the middle of this party. And then I look around like, yeah, I'm the biggest Mookie mark in this whole place. Like, I'm obviously the only, like, and I'm just trying to be like, you know, I'm a worker too, right? Like, I'm a worker too, right? Come on, guys.
That's awesome. I mean, I think Emily last cruise wore her paint the entire last night and was running around the casino.
Yes.
But it got me with Wheeler Yuta and Orange Cassidy, so it was all good.
Nice.
It did not get me a picture with Chris like I was promised, but I got a better moment.
Good.
Yeah,
that's good.
We kind of accidentally stopped Orange Cassidy from playing his game. We're like, no. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, oh, this is awkward. We feel like we weren't trying to bother. We were just walking through. So I definitely can understand that feeling of like, no, I promise. Like, I'm just trying to be normal. I'm not trying to mark out.
It's so many moments of just like, hey, I really apologize, but we're in this moment here, and I'm not going to get another opportunity like this, right? It was like, it's kind of like, I sort of liken it to Pokemon, right? Really horrible way of saying it, like that these celebrities are just like these rare things to find. But like when you see somebody that's not always there, right? I remember we were in the casino, Britt Baker's walking by, and I'm like, that's Britt Baker. And I'm like, Britt, I'm so sorry, but can I get a really quick picture? She's like, yeah, for sure. So she smiled. I got a snap photo with her. And then one of my buddies was standing with me, and he goes, "Hey, can I also get a picture?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I'm just like,
Damn.
sorry.
I got mine at the concert with her, and I had her shirt on. So when she turned around and saw me, I was like,
Nice.
so she took a picture with me. I was like, I don't know how to awkwardly ask, but I gotta awkwardly ask. This is it.
And that's
Shoot
what it
my
comes
shot.
down to. And that's why it's good to pair up. Jamal, let me know what you think about this, because I want to hear Jamal's thoughts on this. Because what I did in the first cruise with Teryn was I'm the big mark and she's the apologetic one. So I'm running up and I'm like, yo, you guys, holy smokes, right? Like Kaz. And then she'll run up and be like, I'm so sorry, Frankie. Like, I'm so sorry. This guy's just, how are you? Hi, we're Dez and Teryn. How's it going? Like, you know, and then
that's awesome.
Right?
A work is always working. Got it.
What's your crazy
what about you,
story?
Jamal? We know you got some good stories, Jamal. What about you? What about some of your encounters? So like, holy crap, but I gotta play it cool, but holy crap.
I mean, honestly, crazy as it sounds, I'm usually pretty chill, honestly, because I mean, at the end of the day, like these are, of course, to us, they're like larger than life. Pro wrestling, we love it, but you know, I'm usually pretty chill. Like, I wouldn't say that there was like a holy shit moment. Like for me, I mean, there's 3 people I know I would totally mark out for. If I saw in person, I probably wouldn't be able to contain myself and I had to walk the opposite direction. Michael Jordan, I mean, being from the South Side of Chicago, we want to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Trish Stratus.
Okay.
I don't think I can be in a room with them. But I'm
not ready to meet Saraya, but I need to meet Saraya.
Yeah, I'm really pretty chill though. But like I mean, I do remember a time like similar like with the Dez. I was, or you guys too. Like I was kind of in a room I probably wasn't supposed to be in, but I remember one time I was coming downstairs. It was like the back of the boat, I believe. I was just walking downstairs. It was like that back dining room area where all the talent and everybody usually are, and they have it blocked off like a sign or whatever. It was like a dining room or something. So I'm walking
like a little private club, yeah.
So I'm walking past, and I hear Marco jamming on the guitar. I believe it was the second cruise. You know, he's jamming on guitar, a group of people and everything. And then I see these 2 individuals, Haley Oliver from New Zealand, so good friends of mine.
Oh, yeah,
you know, I stuck my head in the door. And I'm like, y'all in there? Haley and Oliver, they're like, just come in. And I'm like, okay, you know, I just walk in, you know, casually on the place, you know, like, you know, swag out, you know, chill, you know, walk in, you know,
confidence is king. Confidence is king.
And everybody was in there. Tony Khan was in there. A lot of talent was in there. MJF, that raggedy bitch.
Raggedy, I love it.
He was in there. So I mean, everybody was in there. We just hanging out and just like, I'm not supposed to be in here though, but they ain't saying anything. But I think if you're just really cool and just chill, you know, nobody's really gonna notice. And as long as you're not just marking out like, let me get a picture, and
that's it. I think that's
it. I chose Stu Grace in the bathroom in exchange for a picture.
You did what?
He couldn't find the bathroom. He was gonna use the women's, and I was like, can I go first and can I get a picture before that happens?
Wait, who was that?
Stu Grayson. That's probably why he left the Dark Order. I'm just kidding.
It was me.
No, but
I made Peter cry. I had some great moments drunk last cruise.
So that's the thing. So she's very, very shy, and I tried to like bring it up, but she is very good. She's kind of exaggerated. She's not like a marquee, like, oh my God. But inside that, she's kind of giving you her inside reflections, because I've definitely gotten at least a few words out of her now, because the second cruise, well, the first one for us, we were walking by and Marco stunt stops, and this guy was like, oh, okay, you guys have 2 cute kids. Can I get a picture of your kid? And I was like, what? And they thought Marco was my child. And I was like, how old does this lady think I look? Like,
oh my God.
I'm only 36. I'm not there yet. So we joked that, you know, Marco was our child. And then he saw Cam later. He's like, my family.
That's hilarious,
so
man. Marco.
Third cruise, I was like, Marco, you're our kid. Like, when we were watching you in GCW and you got hurt, like, I screamed. I was so worried about you. I was like, oh my God, it's Marco. I was literally so worried about him. And then, like, we had a really cool moment about it because he realized we care.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you guys both said perfectly, like, just be yourself, be normal. Don't be the overly excited, because I know me personally, if someone came up to me like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, "Oh, what's
Yeah,
going on?"
and that's the thing too, though. If you do get overexcited, like one suggestion I can suggest to people, if you get overexcited, which is totally normal, if you're a fan of something,
Yes,
it's okay to get excited. But sometimes if you need to take a breather or if you need to step aside for a minute, just chill, relax. Just at the end of the day, they're just like us. They regular people. They're having a great time with us, because I know some people might get a little bit anxiety, a little too excited, and if you need to step aside, it's cool. There's plenty of space on the boat where you can do that, and and chill out.
It's a huge boat. It is a huge boat.
It
Really Any one of the boats we've been on.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the Pearl.
I think if you don't work out, you shouldn't be going to the gym to look for them. If you're going to work out to work out,
right?
that's perfect.
That's the first one we know. Yes.
Yeah, if you don't have any business going in the gym, like if you're not going there to work out legit, or if you're going there to work out for the first time because you think you're gonna, like, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm all for people bettering themselves, so go and hit the treadmill, like, you know what I mean? Like, do your thing. But yeah, don't be stalking people, because the one thing I noticed early on too is you see a lot of them, right? Like, like Marco and I, like, I think the one time we were trying to go out for just trying to have a health break upstairs, and we had to walk from the casino just the one bar over up to the stairs to the outside area. And it took us 40 minutes because people kept like stopping him for pictures, and he was the coolest, nicest. He kept looking. He's like looking back at me like, just one sec, just hang on. And then it was like, oh, bro, you do your thing, man. It's like these people are just like loving it. Everybody's just loving it and getting their moment. And there's so many nice people on the boat that you just have fun, right? Everybody's there for the same reason.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, not myself. Oh God, me and Jamal are like almost opposites in this way, where I don't have that control to just be chill, and I don't have that ability. So I'm just very wired, and I'm like, yo, and it's just like, it's a lot for people. I think and sometimes I have to remind myself that not everybody's that way, right? Not everybody's as outgoing as I am. So there's all kinds of levels.
I'm not gonna lie, you helped me come out of my shell more, because on the second cruise I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, because I was very just shy because there was so many. But you and Jamal and Walter and Teryn and Jeff, all these great cruisers who just, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, where'd you come from?" And just we all vibed and talked about wrestling, and there was none of this like divisiveness. But I'm not going to get into that stuff, obviously. But it was just there was a community of wrestling.
It's all fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the only thing you stress about is, crap, do I have enough time to grab a snack before wrestling starts? Like, there wasn't like a fight. It was, all right, do I get the soft serve or the better spot at the ring?
And that's it. And the cool thing is everybody's chill. So like, even if you're like 5 rows back or 6 rows back, there's always gaps. People are always moving. It's not like a dedicated seats at a show where it's like, if you take off or something, like somebody's going to come fill your spot. And there's always, it's just such a good dynamic, just to speak more about what you said about, sort of people. I've seen it so many times of somebody, seeing the fun, seeing a group having a little community, and they sort of look in and you're like, hey, what's your name? Get over here. Get the fuck over here. Sorry, I didn't mean to just maybe 2109. Maybe don't bleep that one out. But it's great because this is how you meet friends. Myself right now, I'm going 2 months sober. So I'll be 3 months sober on the boat this time. So I'll just be indulging. But like, I got like really, in a good and bad way, I got really drunk a lot of the times on the first 3 boats, to the point where when you wake up in the afternoon the next day and I'm trying to walk to my friends, and all of a sudden people are like, yo, Eskimo, hey buddy, I love you from last night. Oh my God. And I'm like, what did I do now? What's going on? Right? Like, and it gets a little spotty. And I mean, a lot of people can control that, but I can't. If I start having a good time, I want a better time. And then I triple down. And next thing you know, I'm waking up in the middle of the afternoon and I've got regrets and I feel silly. And I'm done with that. So, yeah.
I can respect that completely. We don't really drink that often.
It's pretty much just a cruise.
The cruise, and that's it. And I mean, we have other stuff, but we can't talk about that because we live in North Carolina.
But that's it too. That's why I was like, what is this area here? What can I say about my other interests and activities?
Yeah.
you piqued his interest, like, we got a party.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I like that there was no judgment on there, because I know for myself, being a larger guy and I have a giant red arm, I don't really blend in very well. I stand out pretty well. So it was nice that everyone was welcoming. Like I said, the very first day we met Jamal, and you were just kind to Cam, just to be kind to Cam, and he really appreciated that. And then I was like, oh, he's a good dude. And then Walter coming over and like, are you having a good time? Like just being his hype self. And I'm like, this is great. And then seeing you guys all partying, I was like, these are our people because everyone's chill. Everyone's making the community. That's, if I could say to anyone who wants to go on the cruise, like that's the great thing. It doesn't matter what your wrestling fandom is because there's someone there who will talk to you about it. Even if only like Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, there's someone there who's like, oh yeah, I love that old school wrestling. And I love the new school wrestling. It's great.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's one thing too.
Cosplaying too.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want because when I saw Cam, like I think the first time I really saw him was me and him. We were both dressed as Orange Cassidy that day, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And it's just one of those things where I put myself in his shoes. Like, imagine you as a kid being on a wrestling cruise with wrestlers you've seen on TV. Go back to. I grew up on the Attitude Era. Can you imagine me on a boat with like the Rocks and DX and the Austins and the Undertaker for whatever reason? Because you originally thought he was in the casket, but he's not. But whatever. But it'd be mind. But I probably wouldn't contain myself as a child. Like I'd be like, what is happening right now? So that's why I asked him too. Like, is he having a great time? Because it's something I know he's gonna remember forever. He's a good kid, though, man. That's my guy right there. And I'm sure he's gotten taller since the last time I've seen him.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, he's almost as tall as Grammy.
Yeah, my Grammy came. Yeah, my Grammy. My goodness. My mom came down for a visit for a Christmas present to him, and first thing she said is, "He's almost as tall as me." I'm like, I know, because he unfortunately couldn't go last time, but he's so excited to come back, and he, obviously remembers Jamal and Ryan and everyone else, and he's excited to show his cosplays off. So I feel like it's great too, because I know there's other kids. So people don't be afraid to bring your kids on, board. Because there's a community of the younger generation. Like Donovan grew up with us on the cruise.
I was just gonna say that. Right?
You should hear us pop whenever we see him in a pay-per-view.
Yeah, every time we see him, like we're like, there's
little Donnie, man. Little Donnie, that guy on the third boat. Teryn and I were sitting there all posted up in our DEC corner, and this little kid literally sits down in between me and Teryn and says, "So, when are you guys gonna have me on your podcast, huh?" And we're like, "Yo, you just booked yourself on our show, kid.
Wow.
You just booked yourself on our show." And his dad runs up, "I'm so sorry, you guys." And we're like, "No, this kid belongs, man. If you guys want to hang with him, you're gonna have to prove yourselves too, because your son is rad as hell, man."
Absolutely. No. Fun fact, I'd gone to GCW back in August in Concord, which is right outside of Charlotte, because we're down that area. And I see Scott, and I was like, "Scott!" And I see Donovan, I'm like, no way. So we ended up moving near them coincidentally. So it's just kind of funny that like watching grow up, and exactly that's how we introduced it. He came over with the beautiful belt you're holding that we had as well, the Rock and Rager belt. He goes, "Remember last time I had replicas? Got the real thing now." I was loving it. I'm like, "Oh, this is who I wanted to be."
Also, did you have a security guard try to take pictures with your belt?
I've got with mine.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, well, I mean, like, so yeah, like I had a lot of people, like staff and everybody were like, "Hey, can we, like, is it cool? Can I see? And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, this is something that, like, I remember on the second boat was the first time they had them, right? That was the first issue of the title. And I remember seeing people with them afterwards, and it was like, that is something that I want in my life. So big shout out to my friend Jeanette. Big shout out to my friend Jeanette for helping me make this happen here. Me and Jeanette, I brought her as my +1, and she really helped me out with that. Lots of love to Jeanette.
Awesome.
The JAS, the Jeanette Appreciation Society. Big shout out.
Yes.
But no, for real. Like, and so it was funny as hell, because when we got these on the third boat, so I don't know if anybody can, if you can't see it, it's the Chris Jericho official championship belt made by who is it?
Milliken.
Milliken. It's Milliken. That's right. It is Milliken. And so there's a presentation, and there's like Jericho does a Q&A. That day, for some reason, I chose violence, and I started power drinking at like 1 p.m. So by the time we get to the event, I am like sauced. I've had way more than a dozen drinks, and they're just vodka waters. I'm only drinking Yeah Boys on that boat. So I'm getting loaded, and they put us in the back of the room, and Jericho's talking, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I remember you. That was great.
That's it. This guy. This is the guy. And literally some woman like parallel to me says, "Hey, buddy, just sit down and just shut up."
Wait,
and
I
looked
done
and I said, "Yo," No, Jeanette was just like shrunk into her seat at this point. This woman, she's like, yo, buddy, shut up. And I looked and I said, oh my God, you're so right. Like, I am very sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. So I sat down and I talked to Chris later. I sent him a message. I'm like, bro, I was so loaded. He's like, yeah, dude, your hands were up the whole time. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
I got my face covered in the picture. Chris.
Pardon me?
I had my face covered. You know the group picture? You know how the guy that dresses as Ric Flair like cut in front of everybody a bunch of times?
Tony.
I don't mean to be rude. Like, I'm just saying, like, he cut in front of all of us. Well, in the meantime of them doing that, another guy put his Dark Order glove up in my hand, like right like this.
Oh.
So you can't see me in the group picture. I'm like, are you serious?
I think they chose the worst place for that photo because it's
the stairwell was awful.
That stairwell, it went vertical backwards. I remember we got lucky because we were like right there. Like I remember I almost had my hand on Chris, and I was trying not to fall over. Like I'm literally like trying to balance. And I remember that I barely remember the photos that happened that day. Like it was messy. It was one of those things where I use that as an example of why I'm sober, is because it was like that was a huge day that I paid a lot of money for, that I really don't have a lot of recollection of, aside from the fact that I was just a sloppy goof. So it's like,
If it makes you feel any better, and also, props to the sobriety. I know it's definitely not easy. My brother personally has to struggle with it too. So I think it's awesome. But I remember you being fun. I don't remember being too over the top. If that makes you feel better, because you were like 2 rows behind us. So if that makes you feel better.
I didn't remember.
I just remember like uncontrollably crying when I got my belt. And then I remember uncontrollably crying afterwards, to the point where Jeanette's like, hey, I'm going to go. You're good, right? Like, you're okay. And she left me with Walter. And I was just like there with Walter, just bawling about how like this amazing this day is and stuff. And it's a fun time. But it was a lot to take in.
No, it really was too. Because there was at one point too where I didn't realize we were supposed to hold the champagne for some. So I just shot it down. She goes, "You're supposed to save that." And I went, "Oh!" And I panic drank the other one. She goes, "Well, that's mine."
I was like, panic drank the other one.
I was like, I don't know what to do. So I definitely get it. I was like, I think that was just my nerves taking over. She's like, you just wrote your question down. I'm like, I know, but he could read it. Like, I don't know, because it goes back, like you said, the anxiety of me not wanting to be like, so like I think that's why maybe I didn't notice it to the level you're saying, is because I was like, oh, he's just the life of the party. But to me, you weren't too over the top, because I've been to some parties where I've seen people and I was like, that guy needs help. Like,
the guy that puked in the buffet.
Oh,
all over the table. It was delicious.
Somebody puked in the buffet.
Oh, you guys don't know this one? Oh,
I'm glad it wasn't.
I was trying to fix Cam's paint.
The third night, it was probably close to 1 a.m. I think one of the last shows had just gotten off. Like they were cleaning up the pool deck. We went to the buffet to get some, snacks for bed, and I just see this poor guy in the back just retching, and he's just rocking back and forth. I'm like, we got to go. She's like, I'm not done eating. I'm like, please, we got to go. And you just see him retch forward. I'm like, and you just hear the splatter. And I'm like, please, can we go?
Oh, no.
And it was just like, oh, so I just suggest in moderation. You don't want to ruin your cruise by being sick, because I had to go to the sick bay on the Walking Dead cruise, also run by Norwegian. They want to charge me $200 for like some bandages. So unless you really, really need that sick bay, I wouldn't recommend it, because you don't want to be down. It's not your friend.
So that's funny, because I've got like a really quick one here about wrecking somebody's holiday because of our power drinking. So on the second boat, we had Dean Midgley from the UK. Big shout out to my bro Dean Christ. We were drinking so much that we would stay up at the Atrium bar all night long, literally all night long, and it would be 9 a.m. and we're still drinking, and they're setting up to play bingo, and we're still standing there at the bar drinking with everybody. Like Ted Irvine is coming by, and he's like, have you slept yet? And we're like, no, not yet. Some poor guy, Don Allen. Don walks by us. He's just out 8:30 a.m. for a walk around the ship while his wife is getting ready for breakfast. He stumbles upon us at the Atrium bar, and he proceeds to drink with us. And so within the hour, we're back up at the buffet, and he is toasted. We're all lit. We're all having a good time. We're all having so much fun. And then he's like, okay, guys, well, look, like you guys are awesome. And it's about 10 a.m. now. So we've only had him for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours maximum. And he's loaded. And so he's like, okay, boys, well, I'm going to go see my wife and we'll talk to you guys soon. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. We're all just bros, right? Everybody's just loving each other. We didn't see that guy for a day and a half because he showed up at his room drunk as piss at 10 a.m. and ruined breakfast with his wife and slept all day and was sick for a whole night and hung over at the worst times, he said. So his wife didn't want to go out by herself, so she ended up just hanging in the room with him for a lot of the time. And yeah, so I apologize to Don and I apologize to his wife more because I imagine that it wasn't the best day for her. So, but he's a champ. He's a champ.
Speaking of champs, I think one of my favorite shout-outs, I got to put you on the spot a little bit, Jamal. I know you don't like being put on the spot, but I love when you did your Orange Cassidy cosplay and you just lounge around, because that's really how I got to know you on the second cruise and the third cruise. I was almost like, where's Waldo for me? It was great. I was walking through the atrium. It was probably like 11 o'clock because I was heading up to karaoke, and there's these benches that look out into the ocean. And he's just laying there, and I look, and I just see Orange Cassidy walk by, nod, and I'm like, that's so meta. That just happened right now.
It was like Spider-Man.
The point, yeah.
So wait, when was this? The second or third one?
That was the third one. You were like laying down, and like he walked by. He was wearing like all black because I think he was trying to blend in. And
you know what?
Like
I think I know what you're talking about. I was dressed that day because usually I'm literally, when I play the gimmick, I play the gimmick. I turn my brain off, everything. I don't give a fuck. But I think I do remember somebody took a picture of me because I literally just laid there and like, I'm just going to lay here, take a nap for like 30 minutes or an hour or something. Just lay there.
I knew he was really napping. I told you.
I know. I legit took a nap. Like, seriously. So I know some people walk by, stared at me. I heard that Orange Cassidy just walked by and just looked. And he probably thought I was sleeping. That's why he didn't say anything. He just like, okay.
Yeah, this guy's living the gimmick. He's like, true.
And it was like, I didn't want to take a picture of it because I'm like, oh, it looks like I'm taking a picture of him, you just sleeping. But I was like, I gotta remember the next cruise. I gotta tell him that, just because it was like, to me, it was just so meta. And just, it was funny because we brought my friend Frank on the last cruise. He's not able to go this one, but he's probably going the next cruise after. And he was just so blown away by, he's like, wow, he's really living the lifestyle. Because he's like, yeah, so I'm at karaoke just chilling in the corner. I'm like, it's great. Like, it's Jamal. I'm like, that's why I dubbed you on the show on a couple episodes, the OGOC, that, because to me, I'm like, you are my OGOC cosplayer. I'm like, you're the one. That's why Cam Wanda keeps doing it. He's like, no, I got to keep up with Jamal.
That's awesome.
He can try all he wants though, but I mean, he's not going to stand still for like 30 minutes. I don't. Dude,
I already told him that. I was like, buddy, he doesn't move sometimes for 20 minutes. Like, that's not that hard. I was like, I was like, I told you to stay in your room for 5 minutes. You came out 3 times for 3 glasses of water.
Well, we should have me and him should have a contest. See, like, who can just sit here just the longest and not move.
Right.
Give it 5 seconds.
If that.
So it was just fun. It was just fun. I just wanted to try something different and just have fun. But honestly, I think it took on a life of its own. Like, I just posted a picture one time in the Facebook group, and a lot of people were like, "Dude, you literally did it. Like, you were him all day."
That's the vibe. Yeah, that's
because I actually remember one time at the casino, I had the full gimmick on. I was playing blackjack. I don't think Orange Cassidy, he wasn't on this one. He was on the second one. So I had the sunglasses on. The dealer looks up, goes to me. He's like, "Sir, you can't wear glasses." I'm like,
just deadpan. I love it.
Goes in my pocket, pause, take them off, put the glasses on, just like, he's like, "Yeah, okay."
No, that's great. I think that's the other thing. I love seeing, like Toilet Boy. There was one cruise, him running around. He popped me every time I saw him. You mentioned Oliver earlier. His Sting was always awesome, and her Becky Lynch was incredible on this.
I poor Jake.
And I just remember that Cam ran over to her. He's like, "No, you're Becky Lynch. I need a picture." Like, he literally was like, "No, you are Becky Lynch. Don't lie to me."
So I asked her for a picture because she looked so awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, "Can I get a picture with you?" And Jake Hager turns around and he's like, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "I'm really sorry, but I already got a picture with you. Can I get a picture with her?"
Oh, yeah.
And I look back, I'm like, "What did I do?
I got a bone to pick with Jake this go around the fourth one because they're all there because he always want to walk around like, I like this hat. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, Playboy. You stole this gimmick from stealing my friend's hat from the second cruise.
Yes.
You owe her royalties, bro. Like, hold on now. Like,
Yeah.
bro, I'm going to address that.
Jamal's bringing up beef.
No, we got. Let me tell you something though. Jake Hager, man. Jake's a good guy. We were talking down at the on the bottom, like it was on 12, right? Because 13 is just up in there. That's where the muster station is, where we sit. So he was down on 12, and I remember going up to him like, "Hey, man, you want to go have a puff?" And he goes, "Absolutely." So I'm walking up the stairs with Hager, and I'm like, "This is going great because we're just gonna walk to have a little puff." And then all of a sudden, these girls walk in, and they just sort of like got his attention, and we separated. And I'm like, "Yo, I'm not gonna compete with these two girls." And I was like, "But I know who can." And I looked over and I saw Teryn. I'm like, "Teryn, come here." Teryn, we need to get Jake Hager for a sec. So Teryn walks up to Jake, puts his arm around, whispers something to him, and he walks off with her. And then she just walks past me, pushes him into me, let's go, and walks off her back where she was. And I'm like, "Here you go, buddy." And he goes, oh, thank you, man.
Tell me, she's got that lip service, man. She's awesome.
I tell you, man, she is the most convincing person. You know, she is what do you call it? You catch more flies with sugar or honey, right? So she's the honey, and I'm definitely like, I don't know, vinegar or something, I guess.
I admire her a lot. She's definitely opened me up to everything too.
Dude, Teryn is awesome. Show. Teryn's so great, you know, honestly. And like I said, when we met on that first cruise, we became like a family. And I want to touch on this too, because we kind of talked about it earlier, was that it doesn't matter to me who gets booked on this cruise. This cruise is a part of my life. This is a family. This is a community. And it's gone past the cruise to the point where we rent Airbnbs throughout the year. We travel to other shows together. We see each other at places, you know. I don't get to do it so often, but the rest of the gang does. You know, and it's funny because like this is a family we've created now. You know what I mean? We're all getting to know each other more and more. And I'm hoping now by being sober on the fourth boat, I'll get to actually remember some of the people.
You definitely, dude. I'm telling you, it's gonna be like you're gonna be like in the Matrix. Everything else is gonna be moving in slow motion. That's what happens when you're sober. It's like everybody else moving in slow motion. You just be like, "Was that me?" Like, yeah, you see everything now. You remember everything. It's just like,
you're the hummingbird. You're like grabbing drinks as they fall off tables. Jamal. This is why he's so chill, is because we're all just stumbling around.
Oh yeah, no, but I don't judge. I know everybody's having a good time though, but it's just like me personally, I don't.
I get you, man. Hey, I'm there, man. I'm there.
Yeah, not me.
Do you guys remember? Sorry, really quick. Do you guys remember when it was really stormy on the third boat? Because we were cruising, right? We had to get there. We skirted that storm, and it was really rocky and stuff. I remember being so wasted. I didn't feel it because I was staggering and it was countering with the boat. So I stayed straight. My head was straight, but everything else was just moving around.
That was number 2, actually.
Oh, that was 2.
Because we were running late. Because I remember it vividly. Because I was actually doing the bowling tournament with because Luchasaurus, the team captain. I was doing that, and then we're all standing around like, we're not taking off yet. Like, I'm supposed to take off. Like, we're late, and then we finally went upstairs for the toast, and then they just. Vroom, and
we took off because they had to catch up for the dynamite taping, and we had to skirt a storm or something. They said, right?
Yep. And then my buddy, I love her to death. Her name is Rachel. Like, she was holding my shoulder like back and forth like at karaoke because she was drinking and it was rocky. And I think one point in time she almost pulled me down. I was like, wait a minute, like hold on, like you're thinking about that. Hold on. But yeah, that was fun. Rocking.
That I always joke that second cruise, that storm. I'm like, is that when we went through Bermuda Triangle, like to cut some time, and like maybe that's why the worlds went to the way it went. I'm like, I jokingly said that, and I remember Kazarian was super nauseous that Wednesday because of how bad the seas were, and I said something about, oh man, I feel like we went through the triangles. Like, I hope not. I already feel nauseous enough as it is. I felt so bad for him because he had to leave the meet and greet early. People got mad, but I'm like, no, he was not feeling good. Yeah. Storm was pretty brutal.
I imagine that we diverged, and there's like a version of us somewhere still out in the
worst one. Yeah, right. Hope it's not like Ghost Ship though. Jeez.
Oh, jeez, man. Oh, jeez. No, but
I don't swim either. Like really... There's 3 of us on here that don't swim. We got a problem.
I can't swim. Yeah, it's done. It's done. I look at myself like, hey, if we go down this ship right now, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know what? I can't think of a better way to go out
I was about to say I had a good run.
Right
If I
on my tombstone.
Cruise,
Right on my tombstone. Died partying with Chris Jericho. I was like, you know what?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, if I was
So-
Chris Jericho and that boat started going down, first thing I would do would be running around with the biggest bottle of Grey Goose I can and drinking with everybody that I could possibly see, just so you could legit say, hey man, we went down partying with the captain here, man. And that's what I would do is I would be like, I'd get all of like, okay, so again, I'm sorry to keep railroading this here. It was on the third boat. Everybody's lined up. My whole gang got their cabin photos together because they were in a suite, right? So I missed mine with Walter because with Gord because I was so drunk. I missed on the third boat. I missed my crew photo with Chris, right? So I was kind of choked, and I'm sitting up there, up with Vernon Black. You guys know Vernon?
Yeah, I remember Vernon.
So,
yeah.
Vernon and I are sitting there, and we're sitting up there, and I'm puffing away on my pen here on my shatter vape, and all of a sudden Ricky Morton comes up. Ricky Morton's walking around, and people are talking to Ricky, and Ricky's talking to them. But Ricky walks up to us, and I'm like, sorry, like, do like, it's just, what's up? And he goes, hey, can I hit that pen really quick? And I'm like,
Yes.
absolutely. Here you go, Ricky. And he hit it. And I'm like, hey, man, anytime you need something, you just come find me. He's like, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So we're sitting there laughing, talking about Ricky. And I'm just puffing away. I am so like in my own head at this point. I don't even know what's going on. And all of a sudden I hear, hey, Dez, blaze up, you fucking stoner. And I look over and it's Chris Jericho. And he's got 3 PAs around him, 3 production. And they all got clipboards and like a headset. And he's like, yeah, what's up, Dez? So I walk up to Chris and I'm like, hey, that's actually my profile picture on Facebook is that photo I took with him. Because I was like, what are you up to? And he goes, well, actually, there's about 1,000 people waiting to take a picture with me. And I was like, yeah, duh, like the whole gang is there. Do you mind if I get one really quick? He goes, yeah, for sure, man. So he's like, how's your day going? I'm like, dude, it's pretty awesome. He's like, yeah, it looks like you're having a good one, man. Keep going. And then he just walked off. And I'm like, and I go back and I sit next to Vernon and I'm just kind of like, and then Vernon's just like, so just your buddy Chris just pulling you over and saying hello in the busiest day of the cruise. That's cool. And I'm like, I guess, right?
Oh, cool.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, thank God Vernon was there to see this because I immediately started chatting to everybody. I'm like, oh, the group chat. I'm just trying to blow it up. Like this just happened to me, but I'm still trying to be cool, but I can't.
So is there like, aside from Fozzy, is there a band you guys are excited for?
I will say, because y'all just had them on the Teryn and Dez Show. We Are Wasted. I definitely look forward to checking them out because that's one thing I will say about the cruise. It exposed me to a little bit more rock and roll because I'm traditionally hip hop, R&B. That was always really my thing, but I tend to be more open-minded because that's one thing I did on the third cruise, try to go to like every single band or every single thing that's going on. It's like, because people that know me, I hop all over the place. I can be at karaoke in 1 second. I can be at another part of the boat in another second. Or I can be doing this. I can be by the ring. It's like, nobody knows where I am. Like I tend to not stay in one place too long. So I like to experience everything or chat with everybody. Like, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, I saw you earlier. You good? You having a good time? Yeah, cool. All right, cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing them.
I was gonna say I noticed that because I feel bad because I think when you did your shout out video for Cam, you were coming back from the gym because you were wearing your Christmas shirt. You're like, I gotta outwork everyone, man. Like I loved it because I was like, you were just so chill. I was like, I'm super tired from karaoke last night, and he was at karaoke with me. How am I like so not awake? And he's just like, what are you talking about? I just got my full session in. And I'm just like, yeah, I just want breakfast. I just woke up. Like,
every time I gotta do it, man. That's my one of my go-to things. 2-hour power naps. That is it. I'm not sleeping on this boat. Period.
I think me working third shift is going to be an advantage this year.
Yeah, because I was the one who usually stayed up late. Like on the second cruise, I felt very out of place because I was like, well, Cam had to go to sleep and Emily was, like, well, I guess I'll go sleep. You go have fun. I'm like, but I feel so guilty. So I'm like walking around. That's when I started meeting.
Switch nights.
He got to meet Joey Janela without me.
We did try to switch nights, but she got tired the third night. Yeah. So I jokingly said my goal when we first booked the cruise, I was like, I need a drunken selfie with Joey Janela. That was just my goal. I don't know why. It was just my random goal. I'm like, I need to do this. She made fun of me. She's like, it's going to happen because it's Joey Janela, but you better not happen without me. I'm like, no, I'm sure it's going to happen together. It'll be funny.
I loved him because this was right after like he started to really peak with Darby Allin and Penelope and Kip.
Yeah.
You know, they all had their stuff. And I was popping when they did the kiss with Kip. I was dying laughing. I was loving every second. So Joey Janela, like I was such a mark for him.
And he got the braids. So you were laughing.
Yeah, the braids. I was like, oh no,
the Bahama braids.
Every part of this, I was like, you got to meet Joey without me.
So she had gone to bed because Cam was overtired and she wasn't feeling great, so she went to go lay down because she had a headache. I went up on the pool deck and I only had a couple of drinks, and he just comes down the stairs with some random girl. I don't know who it was.
Apparently his girlfriend.
He goes, oh, hey, man, we just started talking. He said something, and I was like, man, I can't believe you almost died in that truck. And, talking about that GCW spot.
Oh,
when they took that pile driver, the pickup truck, I was like, that just looks like a bunch of nope to me. Like, God bless you for taking that, because, I mean, I couldn't even dream of that. And we just got talking, and I said something like, oh, do you mind if I get a picture real quick? He goes, I'm a little messed up, but it'll probably make for a good picture. I'm like, all right. Like, no. So I'm just like laughing and dying on the inside. And she goes, everyone wants your picture. And she was just kind of being annoying about it. And I was like, it's fine. I didn't want to get him in trouble. I'm like, no, it's fine. He goes, no, screw her. Take a picture with me. I'm like, okay. I did, but she took the most angry picture of her. She was like, just being all super. I'm like, I think she's gonna break my phone.
Yeah, she's gonna snap your phone. So were you guys there when Cruz Kane got his picture with Janela?
No.
We were all at the atrium. We're all at the atrium. Teryn, Cruz Kane, and I, Janela, a whole gang of us. Everybody's buying shots. They're all getting Fireball. The video, you can see Janela throw up, right? Because they all took Fireball. And it's like, yeah. And he's just like, ugh. And it's like, okay, that just happened, everybody. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So Cruz Kane's there. And Janela's like, yo, it'd be great if you could hold me up for like a choke slam, right? Like just pick me up for a choke slam. But it was like, yo, actually picking him up for a choke slam though. So then I immediately jump on all fours. And I'm like, Janela, stand on my back. And he's just up on my back. And Cruz Kane's holding him like this. And that's the picture of Janela's like,
yes.
So it was so funny because I was like, yo, I took that picture. And Teryn's like, no, you friggin' drunk. You were the step. I took the picture. And I was like, oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
There's just so many times like this though. Like honestly, that there's just like it's a magic thing. Like I have dreams. I have vivid dreams now of traveling. There's an airport. There's bars in the airport that I know that are just airport bars because they look like airport bars. And I get excited because I know I'm traveling. And then I have these dreams about being in an airport. And then there's the ship itself. And I feel like, so after the first two cruises, I don't know where you guys were on the third cruise for the epic, brutal COVID test line. I don't know how you guys fared with that thing.
We think we got there early enough to get through.
Yeah, I showed up early enough. And then because of my Canadian status, my vaccination forms were different than everybody else's. So the people were like, can you come with us? We just want to make sure this is good. So they pulled me out of line like less than halfway. I wasn't even at the halfway mark. They pulled me out of line and then they say, okay, no, you're good. Just sit here and then we'll give you a test right away. And I was like, what? So I'm literally up in the waiting area, like where they literally let you on the boat, like that waiting lounge, like the last possible spot past security.
Yeah.
And I'm up in the terminal and I'm looking outside and I can physically see Teryn because after a little bit of talking, she's like, and I can see them out there and they were hours, man. It felt like they were 6 hours away from me. I was up in Oceans. I was up in Oceans already having a beer and wings. And I was taking pictures of me at the bar on the ship at Oceans on 8. And they're still in line.
So, yeah, we lucked out because I had screwed up. So I'm always in charge of planning. So that's one thing I can always recommend whoever is doing the cruise. Make sure the person planning is communicating because I was the only person planning. And I had told my friend, make sure you do 10 o'clock for our check-in because I wanted to do the earliest check-in because I didn't know what this line was going to be like.
Yeah.
And he did 10:30 without thinking. So it messed all of our times up. So I was like, we're just going to go at 10 and we're going to just say whatever because I think as long as one of us chose 10, we're fine. We got there and there was that huge line outside with I'm blanking on his name right now. He's always partying with us in the port. Jacob, where Jacob was out there dancing and getting everybody pumped up. And I realized that this line was longer than normal. So it took us about 3 hours to get through. But we found out we were like that last cutoff for like a bunch of people had left and caused that huge backlog to 6-7 hours. But I couldn't believe it. Jamal, you said you got stuck for 5?
Yeah, about 5. So I think what happened was too, like it was more people were supposed to show up that didn't. I think that's what happened too. And then I think it was just the whole COVID test and the waiting and things like that. Because that honestly, it was one of the most little bit of nerve-wracking things you do. I mean, you're always careful. You took the 2-week COVID test before. You gotta go down there, get another COVID test, and show them your car and everything like that. And as soon as you just sitting there on pins and needles, just waiting for your number to be called, just like,
am I making it or not? Am I
making
it or not?
Making it, you know? And it's like, come on. And then it's like, as soon as they call your name, like Neg, you like, yes.
Yeah,
I know that bracelet was like it reminded me of American Idol getting that like here's your ticket to Hollywood. You put that bracelet on, you come out, and you're like,
Do you guys know? Was there a negative test or a positive test? I guess.
Not that I know. I don't think there was a positive.
I don't think so too. I don't think I heard of anything like that. But I mean, like, good, right? Like, holy smokes.
We saw 3 people. I was super sad because I was the second to last one, and then I went, and then but then our cabin mate Frank, his wasn't coming. We're like, oh no, because he was the one that like I don't think he was taking as many precautions as we were. I'm like, oh no, he's gonna be the one that's gonna pop, and our whole cabin's gonna be
yeah.
Yeah, that was
like, no, but he works from home, so we should be good. He works from home, and then he gets his, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. But the people that were in front of us who were really nice, I saw them get pulled aside to a different room. I'm like, oh wait, didn't get their bracelet, and I didn't see them on the cruise, so I was like, I hope they didn't.
Yeah, get stuck there. Well, then even coming back, because going back through Canada, like Canada had way more stringent restrictions than US did. We had to get a negative test to get back into Canada. States didn't care. States were just like, you got COVID, come into States. So we were on the boat. I remember it was the last day of the boat, and we all had to, like the Canadians, we all had to go get tests, right? In the nurses in the brig or whatever, in the nurse hall there, right? In the hospital on the boat. And we get down there, we're doing our tests, and I remember Matt Harding, a bunch of us were down there, and it's like, yo, man, like, what if we pop, right? Because we've been on the ship with everybody for like 5 days. What if we just pop? And it got negative. And I remember being so like, negative, baby, let's do this, negative.
Go home.
Yeah, and then somebody was like, yo, I remember I got a message. They said, it's relieving to see you got negative because I've seen you all over the boat. You're like one of the most social people I've seen here. And the fact that you got negative makes me at least relieved because I might not be sick. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I mean, like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing I will say is it was nice because
I celebrated failing.
Right. that was the whole vibe too. You're like, oh, I get on this, and now at least this time we're able to, obviously still be. We don't have to worry about that whole. Oh my God, what if something happens? What if we pop a positive? Like now it's okay. Let's just be smart. Let's make sure we're taking our vitamins. Let's make sure we're staying healthy down there. But I can't wait.
It. The only thing you got to worry about popping positive for now is like syphilis or whatever. So
yeah, that cruise.
That cruise hot tub, I don't know. That's gonna where it's gonna be. So that's where I'm gonna avoid.
Yeah, that's like some.
Dick.
Oh God!
See, I knew she was going there. She's like, "Gonna get that boat dick."
Well, see, that's funny. Okay, like so that's good. That is like a whole episode on itself, right there.
I'm still gonna be precautious. Like 2 weeks before I fly down to Miami, I'll be like, same. Get away from me. Get away that way. Nope.
Yeah.
That's a good thing too, where I have, remote work now. So I'm not going to be as exposed to the general public as last time where I was like, I help the public every day. So it's relying on someone else not bringing it to me from the outside that I can't control.
And that's it. And then that's like, so people I get wanting to celebrate before the cruise. Like I'm part of a wrestling card this time around. And we never went to the Dave and Buster's things, but we did hang out with people beforehand. But like, why would you jeopardize a multi-$1,000 cruise you just paid for that's non-refundable by going to Dave and Buster's the night before? And like, I don't know, man. Like I was just like, it's like in Florida, like, cause that was the biggest thing was everybody was like, my boss at the time was like, yo, you're going to get COVID because you're going into the heart of COVID. Like it's so strong there. They don't even believe it's a thing anymore because everybody's got it. Right?
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So it's like, I remember because I was coming from, and then another thing too is I don't know where you guys are living, how remote it is, or how like what your communities are like, but we have 3,000 people here and a big elderly community that's very susceptible to what we were all told was going to be an inevitability, right? So nobody in my community wanted to be the one to travel out and come back and bring it home. And that was the big thing was like, Dez, you're going on a cruise ship? People get sick on cruises and the cruise crud and they get colds regardless. You're going to get sick and you're going to bring it here. And are you happy with that? Are you going to be proud? Will you be okay with the fact that you've contaminated the region of the Arctic? And I'm like, bro, calm down. I'm going to be so pickled. Nothing is going to survive, right? Like, come on. But I like to think that I was at least...
that. Yeah, being such a small community.
Yeah,
how
but that
was
it,
Chicago
right?
during that time?
During the time of what COVID and everything.
Yeah, like when you had to travel.
Loving the times of COVID.
Oh man, well, I mean, we had to wear our masks, on the planes and things like that. But I mean, as far as like just the citywide, I mean, everybody was pretty good, like wearing their masks and social distancing because Illinois is a blue state. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay, fair.
Just leave it there. But yeah, people were pretty cool about it. But man, it was just one of those things. Like 2 weeks before cruise, I was like, all right, negative test, cool. I'm not going anywhere. Even when I got down to Miami, besides hanging out with a few groups of friends the night before Miami, we didn't go nowhere. We was really super safe. They COVID tests. We all testing each other. Be like, nope, we ain't playing around here. It's like, nope. It's like, you know how much I spent for this? There's no turning back.
And that's just it. As soon as we landed in Miami, I literally door dashed our food. And I was like, we're just going to hang in the hotel because I didn't want to be the one like, oh, let me go venture out. And then I pop positive. Emily just looks at me like, we're done. Like, I just knew
that's it. Yeah, like, we had an Airbnb with 10 of us in it before the third cruise. Mm-hmm. And like, we all had to, I remember because we all had to test before we could even get to the house. And it was such a big deal of like, yo, man, like, we're all doing this, right? You're like, nobody's coming into this thing. And it was just like, holy smokes, man. Like, I don't know, man. It was just a different time, I remember like we had to do a drive-through test. So there was like 5 of us in a car. And so I got cheeseburger because there's 3 of us in the back seat crammed like this. And when we had to lean up for the window, I got pictures of this. I got cheese on my lap, taking his test up his nose, leaning on me. And I'm like, if this guy pops, I mean, what am I going to do? Right? Like, we're all done, right? Come on. Like, but it was just so funny how it's like, this is a very, very personal, thing that we all have to be in, but he's literally just on my lap. Like, just, all right, come on, hit me now. And we got so many pictures that was just like, it was just ridiculous, man. What a time, huh?
Yeah. This time around,
live free or die.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted vaccines. Everybody at my work was like, what do you mean you're going to get vaccinated? I had like family members freaking out. Oh my gosh. It was ironically just over the top.
Yeah. I'm just glad that's not a worry this time because it was more just me. It was just scheduling and getting the results of that first one. I can't imagine where you said you had to do it in and out of Canada. So I'm glad that we just have to be more self-control this time instead of, okay, go to this place and get it done. Make sure it's done 72 hours for, not 82 hours for, 70, like, because I think that confusion, now that that's not here, now we just have to book, get our tickets, get our travel arrangements, get down there. It's going to be smooth sailing, no pun intended. I'm looking forward to getting back on the boat. Like, I need this vacation. Like, it feels like it's been a long year. So
this right here, this vacation. This is my wallet that I carry with me every single day. In my wallet is my photo time cards that I had from the one cruise.
Wow.
And right here, this is what I was looking for. The three cards that I had from each boat.
I don't think I kept all of mine. There's somewhere around here, but I don't know where they are though.
And then if you look behind me here, I've got all my passes from the boat. I've got like all my cruise stuff I kept all the paperwork because I was like, I'm gonna make a shadow box the size of my fucking wall. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make a shadow box the size of my wall, and it's gonna have everything on it. So I have a trunk. I have 2 boxes now full of every schedule and paper and bit of little thing I could find and wristbands and whatever from the cruise. And I'm like, I'm gonna make something with these, but not yet.
I have wall art, like the vinyl stuck on the wall.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So they were tearing it down because they were putting up the Coheed and Cambria stuff when we left.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what made me. It's like, I don't know. I get these intrusive thoughts, and sometimes you probably shouldn't just act on them. But my brain was like, ask for that. And I did. And so she pulled it up, gave it to me. And Emily was like, what are we going to do with that? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I just took it.
Hey, shout out to the SummerSlam chair she's been sitting on, because I got my Survivor Series one right behind me here. And my WrestleMania
she just went and grabbed it.
It's just stuck together. It does nothing.
Oh, it's
awesome. Awesome. That's awesome.
And it still smells weird.
It smells like the vinyl. Yeah,
it comes apart.
This is the SummerSlam from Boston.
Cool.
With the DX, I had to get that. Fun fact: I didn't sit in the front row. I sat in the balcony, basically.
It's the only time I'm ever gonna sit on Johnny Cena's face.
There you go.
But we went down to the floor, and this guy had like 6 chairs. And I'm like, "You look like you're struggling." He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll buy one of those for $50." He goes, "Deal." So I ended up getting that chair, and it's funny. I went to Mania 34 as well. I just didn't get a chance to get the chair. But
that's awesome. Yeah, WrestleMania 34 was my first Mania. I was in row 13 from the ring. It was so wild because we went there, and then there was actually a row next to the aisle, like right to the ramp. I mean, that was mostly empty, except for like some dad that was sitting in it because he brought his son, and his son is sitting behind him. But he's like a real business dad, so he's wearing a suit. He's like got his one leg up, and he's on his phone. And I'm like, "Hey man, do you mind if we like? Are you gonna like rat us out if we just move over here?" He's like, "You guys can do whatever you want. I'm not even watching the show." Blah blah blah. We ended up getting like, we were so close. We got hit with a pancake from New Day. Like, we had so much fun. But then what happened was, because there was so much seat shifting, people took our original seats, right? So when it came time for the end of the show, I had my ticket, and I knew that if my ticket didn't show the same number as the seat, I probably wouldn't be able to take it out of the building. So I run over to our seats, and sure enough, they tell you, wait for security to cut the zip ties for you. But these guys that were sitting there were already cutting the zip ties, and somebody already had my chair in his hand. And I'm like, "Bro, that's mine, man. Can you take a different one?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." So I'm holding my chair, like clutching it, death clutch, like my shirt right now, Brock Lesnar's lockout shirt, death clutch. I'm holding my chair, and the security guard literally comes up behind me and tugs it out of my arm. And he's like, "Hey, no, you stole that." And I'm like, "Bro, this is the hill I'm dying on. Here's my ticket. Here's the number. This is mine." And he's like, "All right then." And I was like, "You're not going to apologize to me? Excuse me." And then he just walks off, and I'm like, this guy's got bigger fish to fry. I'm getting out of here. But yeah, it was hilarious, man. Just getting out with a chair. I was like, yo, ready to use it, right? You're ready to like, then you realize I've got a legit weapon in my hands here. I can clear away.
What about
that's gonna change for me next year, man. Next year, cruise. 2 months later, my first Mania in LA. Let's go.
Dude, yes.
Oh, yes.
Nice. You're going to LA?
Oh, it's gonna be lit.
Dude, WrestleCon.
WrestleCon,
nights.
I agree.
WrestleCon Access. I was a baby. I was a baby at Access. Access had me marking out. They had the old 90s superstar entranceways, and I'm just walking out like Bret Hart, getting videos. I did the promo booth. I did everything you possibly could at Access, man. I will say this. If you cannot get a good seat for WrestleMania, the actual event WrestleMania, if you can't get a good enough seat to see the ring yourself, save the money and go to a bar party in the city, because 100% they're paying wrestlers like Val Venus or Godfather or somebody to host the party. I would have much rather spent New York at 35. I spent $800 US on a scalp ticket at the door, sat by myself away from my friends, so far away from the ring I couldn't see it, and it was cold. I'm like, bro, I should have just spent the $100 and went to the Val Venus party. I could have watched the whole thing at the bar.
I know, I got it all kind of planned out, figured out. I haven't booked my flight or hotel yet, though, but people have been asking me what I want for Christmas. I was like, all right, I'm the type of person that don't really like, you don't have to give me a Christmas present. I don't expect people to do it. It's, Christmas for the kids, it's focusing on the kids. But I was like, all right, y'all want to give me something?
We disagree.
Y'all to give me a bunch of Ticketmaster gift cards, because all of that money is going to these WrestleMania tickets. Like, let's go.
Nice.
I'm getting this. I'm going to try to do as much as I can. I'm going to try to do that. SmackDown, Hall of Fame, WrestleCade, Wale Mania, NXT. I'm going to try to do both nights.
Yeah.
Go out to the club. Gotta go to a strip club. Just gotta hit it up.
Yeah, man.
Raw.
We all got our vices.
everything.
I will tell you from personal experience. I did the Hall of Fame.
I thought you were going to go to the strip club thing right in front of her, bro. I honestly thought you were going to go.
No, that's a story from a completely different podcast about some of those adventures.
Oh yeah, let's go Miami.
He better take me with him.
Oh, that's an experience I would love to see.
Hall of Fame, it's great. Like I went to the Kurt Angle one because I wanted to go, see DDP as well, and I obviously see Kurt Angle. It can drag out, but like what kept me through it was this is history that I'm seeing. So like some people so don't trust the reviews. You're gonna see people who are like, oh, it's boring, it's a waste of money. As the historian in me of wrestling, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I got to see Kurt Angle relive his memories on stage and pour milk on himself one more time. I got to see Teddy Long come out to his well-deserved, like, to me, like, I got to see people I grew up watching, get their deserved moments. So I enjoyed it. So I agree. Do as much as you can at WrestleMania because that's what makes the experience. Like Dez said, sometimes the seats suck, but just everything around it's amazing.
Yeah, everything else around the trip was great. You know what I mean? Like all the meet and greets we did, we did WrestleCon there both times. It was super fun. There's so much there on top of it all that's just aside from the actual WrestleMania show. Like it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and the best thing is on the West Coast.
Yeah,
the show ends at like around 7.
Yep.
You're like, the night is young.
And if you love it this year, next year it's near us.
It's in Philly, so we're probably gonna drive up to Philly for 41.
Yeah, so you can come hang out with us.
Yeah, well, I think also Teryn probably talked about Philly. Maybe we'll see. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I think I like about to kind of close it out. I think what I like about the cruise is it's like WrestleMania week condensed into 4 days,
and you meet a family.
Yeah,
it's a crazy festival.
And I'm grateful, I get to meet you guys and hang out, and we get to shoot the breeze on this and chill and talk and. Even though it's stressful with the planning of the flights and the travel, it's all worth it. Like second you get that high five and you grab your lanyard, you're like, let's go, baby. It's our Disney World. Like we don't even do Disney. Exactly. We're like this is our Disney World.
Yeah. And
my son can meet Mickey Mouse or Chris Jericho.
It's so good.
Chris Jericho.
What was it?
Oh, yeah. Easily. But no, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Like, it's your Disney World. I was like, you know what? Yeah. Because somebody actually asked me too, like, I think just to finish it off here, like, in close, somebody was asking, like, describe the Jericho Cruise. I was like, think of it this way. Imagine you're going into it's like a different alternate universe. You're escaping all the BS of reality and the real world and work problems and everything like that. You're just going into this magical universe where everyone has a common interest, a common love, great people. You get to party with them, have a good time, meet new friends, and everybody actually speaks the same language.
Yes. That's well said. Well said.
Yeah. I like thinking of it like Pleasure Island and Pinocchio. So watch me grow a tail and some ears, baby, because it's going to be a wild fourth one.
Yes. Yes. No, I can't wait. Can't wait to meet up with everyone. Excited to hang out and build a party. Follow rule number 1. Like the best. It is the best vacation ever. And I love it. I love what it's going to be. I love that every year. I'm like, I hope they do another one just because I don't know what else to do for a vacation if this goes away. So that's why, let's keep these cruises going.
Chris is going to keep it going.
I don't think we're bringing a title belt.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do need a title, but we'll see. We'll find out. Maybe Edward Bay will have it.
I'm just kind of like over having to carry them around because as great as it is to stop for pictures, I actually had a security guard try and take the belt for a picture. But I had never seen him before, didn't hang out with him ever. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, you're not taking this from me. I just paid a lot of money. I sat there joking with people this is my wedding.
Exactly.
I can go to a wedding to have this title, and you're not holding it.
Yeah. A piece married us in an office because I wanted this,
Pretty much.
I was like, we kind of can't get married during COVID now. So instead of getting a wedding dress, can we get a title belt?
Keep this one. Keep this one.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for coming on. Until next time, I hope, we get to do this again sometime. And until next time on the boat. So thanks, everyone. This is Mongo.